All right, I wanted to do something a little bit different today, but welcome to Radical Self-Respect with Jared Mello. I normally talk about supplements, relationships, cluster B type scenarios, and I also like to do interviews as well. But today we're going to go a little bit into like a debate conversation breakdown. And there's some overlap with some narcissistic type tactics in here that I want to point out because I think it's important to see these things in real time. Now, you might disagree with my analysis of this, but I think it'll be pretty interesting. But you're going to have to bear with me here as well, because I'm not used to doing these share screens from other clips, so I might screw this up a little bit, so please bear with me. And also, I agree with everything Rollo had to say in the entire clip, although I'm not going to show you him speaking. And I also agree with the content of what Torsha is trying to say. But some of the things she does I want to point out here as a little interesting and of note. So I want to share this here. So without further delay, let's see how this goes here. Share.
An answer for you. I recognize this biological attraction that I have to men who are providers, but that does not at all mean that I'm going to put myself in a vulnerable position. It means that I'm going to be attracted to a guy who's going to spoil me, you know, whether it's with money or with whatever, attention.
Time, affection, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not, you know, that's the stereotype, and there's a reason there's a stereotype, but I don't represent everybody, especially not LGBTQ couples or whatever. Like, it's just, this is how a relationship works. One needs to be the nurturer, one needs to be the provider, period. It's not that women need to depend on men, and I think this is what, like, the manosphere is trying to tell women is, like, stop being educated, stop making money, and that's not it. I'm not fully cooked yet. I'm not ready to stop, and also, how am I ever going to get to a point in life where I'm meeting the kind of people that I want to be with for the rest of my life if I don't put myself there?
Well, most men aren't there.
All right. So just what she said right there, she's got a misconception. And this is something Rollo actually talks about, where women often try to be the man they want to marry one day. And she thinks in order to be around the kinds of guys that she wants, she's got to put herself in those scenarios. But I think the part she's messing up here is, you know, the guys don't want the other woman to be their competition. Right? This is what Ken Samuels would talk about, where like a really high value man, he wants this woman to work part-time for him and just to support him. From what it sounds like, what she's talking about is still being independent and doing things for herself. So she may put herself around some high value men, and yeah, maybe they're going to want to sleep with her, but do they want to actually be with her and marry her? That's the question. And then Torsha continues here. I'm going to tell you what she says. We're going to play it here.
There, though. That's the problem.
I don't want those men, though.
You just said you did, though.
I didn't. What did I say? What?
You said,
what do you
I
mean?
want to be around men that I'm attracted to, like the guys that you feel drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be anywhere near your area, like schooling, where you're making...
Okay. So I also want to break down what just happened there. I think Torsha actually misinterpreted what that other woman is saying. And I don't remember her name, I apologize. But she was saying that, Torsha said, oh, you just said you wanted those guys. And Torsha said, well, the guys that you want, most of them, they're going to be at that place like you said. But most guys are not in those high value places. So the woman says, those aren't the guys I want, meaning the guys that aren't in those high-value places. But Torsha thinks she's talking about the high-value dudes still. And so she says, you did say you just wanted those strong, high-value men. And the woman said, no, that's not what I meant. I meant that the women that, or the dudes that are not in those places, they're the ones that she doesn't want. So that was a little bit of a misinterpretation there, I think, by Torsha. But let's go on.
I'm not talking about schooling. I'm talking about if I can't have a conversation about politics and I want a politician.
Okay.
If I'm not in those circles where people are discussing those things.
So, like, education, you would find a guy that is into politics.
If that's what I wanted.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What? Hold on. You guys are not agreeing right here. I'd like to get to the heart of the matter here. What's the problem? You're saying
I'm gonna take a step back because I feel like I'm triggering, and so there's no good discourse that comes from emotion. So I'll let it move with
I didn't
more.
think I was reacting with emotion. If that's how you feel, I would.
All right. So that right there by Torsha. Now this feminist woman here, she might be a little passionate about what she's saying, but to say that she's triggered, when I'm talking to people and having a conversation with them, it is really annoying to be called triggered. Because especially if you're not calling someone names and you're not being disrespectful, part of what these YouTube interviews are all about are to get views and to have entertaining discourse. So I don't see any problems with how the feminist woman was interacting here. Now again, she might be getting a little bit emotional, but it wasn't over the top or anything. And so then when Torsha does that, this is one of the narcissistic tactics that I've noticed a lot, where she puts herself in the position where she looks like the bigger person because she's going to take the step back and be a little more logical. And honestly, that's exactly what she wants you to think. And I saw the comments on this clip, and there was a couple people that pointed it out, and they said, Torsha was so level-headed and logical, she was really the bigger person by taking a step back. But that's not really how I interpreted that at all. I interpreted it as more as a power play to make the other girl look a little more foolish and emotional. And a lot of people, I think they fell right into that. But, I think Torsha was getting a little bit emotional there too. Now, the content of what Torsha is talking about, I agree with 100%. And she's also right. Often there is no good discourse that comes from too much emotion. But I don't really think that feminist woman was displaying that. And then she mentioned after Torsha said that, yeah, I'm totally okay to have this conversation. So I think Torsha was just kind of trying to pull a power play on her there. And that is what narcissistic people do. And I'm not saying she's narcissistic, but there are people that have a lot of narcissistic traits, and that is what they do. They try to win the conversation. They try to make you feel silly. They gaslight you a little bit. And now I know that's how I feel when I'm having a passionate conversation, and then someone says, oh, you're triggered. And then it kind of pops you, and you're like, huh, am I triggered? But usually people only say that when they have nothing else left to say. And they just don't want to attack the content of what you're saying. So they're going to poke and point out your emotional state. And again, as long as someone's not being disrespectful and they're not calling people names, I don't really see a problem. So I saw that as a little bit of a power play on Torsha's part. And the reason I'm even talking about this is because, like I said, this is something that people that have narcissistic traits do. Narcissists, borderlines, other toxic behaviors. This is what they do. And so I wanted to point this out to see the dynamic, especially since I saw other people not really seeing it the way I'm seeing it. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the other people are right. She is just trying to be more logical. But to me, that really came off as her pulling a power play and wanting to look superior to the other person. That's just my take on it. If you have a different take on it, I'd love to hear it. And I'm more than happy to hear people that want to tell me I'm wrong. But again, I agree with everything Rollo had to say in the rest of this clip that I'm not going to show. And the content of what Torsha's saying, absolutely. She's 23 years old. She should be trying to find a man right now because she's at the peak, probably, of her feminine beauty. And so she's got a window here, like the 21 to 25, 6 window, where that's really, when you're your hottest, that's when you want to find a man. Find a man when you're at your hottest, because that's when you will probably find the most high-value man you can. So I absolutely agree with Torsha on that part. So again, I don't have anything against any of these people here. I love to watch Rollo. I don't know as much about Torsha, but I thought it was interesting the dynamic they had in this conversation. So thank you for watching, everyone. That's all I got for you.